Today's episode is brought to you by HID Mobile Access, the most secure and convenient way to open doors with the device you already use every day. With HID, organizations get flexible, future-ready solutions that easily integrate into workplace and tenant experience apps, creating a seamless journey from street to suite. If you're ready to modernize your access control experience, try it for yourself. Sign up for a free trial at hidglobal.com/solutions and click on Mobile Access.
Today on Founders, we are set up for what I think is going to be a pretty interesting conversation. Today we sit down with Auston Bunsen, co-founder and CEO of AccessGrid, a startup taking the access control world by storm. With a wallet-first, API-driven approach and fully transparent pricing, AccessGrid is challenging how the industry does business. We talk about his founder's journey, his motivation to disrupt, and what happens when access control meets the modern startup mindset. All right, so at the outset, I mentioned that Auston from AccessGrid is, I would say, the most disruptive of entrants into the access control industry that we've seen in a long time. And I don't use that word pejoratively. I think it's actually really interesting to see a new company come in and challenge the expectations of our little security industry here. I think what does Leo Dess say? We're a $100 billion industry masquerading as a $10 billion industry. And I think that there's definitely some truth to that. But it's going to take disruption in order to really shake up the market and see that $100 billion valuation versus the $10 billion. So Auston, how I like to start this is like I've done quite a bit of research on AccessGrid, and I've distilled all this research into like one paragraph. I want to ask you how accurate this statement is. So from my research, AccessGrid is a startup focused on modernizing access control through a wallet-first, API-only platform. Their goal is to make issuing and managing mobile and wallet-native credentials as simple as calling modern web APIs. The company supports integrating with existing hardware when possible, but primarily targets developers and product teams who want to embed access capabilities directly into applications and workflows. Is that accurate?
I think it's perfectly accurate.
Okay. Would you add anything to it?
No, nothing to add.
That's it.
I think it's a description of what we do and what we're trying to do.
Fantastic. So why don't you take us to the genesis of this idea, like why even bother getting into the access control space?
Yeah, great question. So before I started AccessGrid, I was working at another company that I started that does blockchain infrastructure. So that company is called QuickNode. It is, in my opinion, a very successful company, does more than 12 billion API requests every single day. Customers there are like Stripe, Coinbase, Google, Adobe, big names. And I was sort of like scratching my itch, which is a consistent itch to always just build new things. And I started building other stuff. So I built this thing with a friend of mine named Nikita. It was like a disappearing photo app. That didn't really take off. I built another thing just on my own, which is like a Reddit scraping tool for a particular subreddit. That one, I didn't have the gusto to take it all the way across the finish line. And then
which was probably a good idea considering Reddit changed their API policies and all that jazz.
I mean, there's always a way to get
Yeah, I'm sure there is. As a big Reddit fan, like when they changed their policy and like Apollo died, it was a dark day for me.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll pro tip for later. I'll tell you how to get around that.
Oh, excellent.
So the third thing was essentially an API, a service for issuing and managing event tickets, coupons, and loyalty cards for Apple and Google Wallet. So I built that out, and something strange happened, which is that people were signing up, paying for it, and then canceling like less than a month later. And so I did what any good founder does, and I took away the cancel button. I hit it. I said, if you want to cancel, you've got to write into support. And so when they would write into support, I'd be like, what's wrong? Why didn't this work? And they would say, I am the facility manager for, Mountain Valley Bottling, and I want to open the doors here with my Apple my phone. And so, the first time that happened, I was like, okay, cool. The second time, and the third and the fourth and the fifth, eventually I just got to the point where I'm like, my brother in Christ, you are trying to open a door with a coupon. This doesn't
not gonna work.
Here's your money back. Here's your cancellation. And let me go from there.
But how interesting how there were so many people that saw that and said, ooh, I wonder if it'll work for this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so, fast forward, talked to Apple. Apple said, okay, we'll let you in. We'll take a bet on you. Went back to the people at Google and tried to work something out. And they were kind enough to let me use SmartTap and went from there.
Wow. And so as someone who didn't start, like your origin story is not in the security industry, which is where a lot of origin stories start for folks like us. What has been most surprising to you? Like what do you see as like the thing that confuses you the most about how it is we do business?
Oh man.
Take your time.
Yeah. I actually wrote a little blog post on, a year in this industry. There are a handful of things that are special about access control. You asked me for one. I'm going to go through a handful.
Go for it. We got time.
I feel like Martin Luther with his thesis. So I think the first is how closed everybody is by default, right? There is basically no way to get in if you're an outsider, right?
Very hard.
Yeah, and it's not that there's no way, but like, you got to say the right things, look the right way. And I came in sort of like sending cold emails to people like, hey, I'm building this thing. What do you think? And, it's the reaction wasn't what most people would say, what would call positive.
Sure.
So the closedness, just to new entrants is one thing. And in some ways that's sort of like an immune response. But in some ways, it's just like preventing innovation from happening. And then the second is open APIs are not actually open and they're not free or like anything that you're used to if you are like working at a regular tech company. Like, Reddit, for instance. Sure. They actually still have a free and open API, right? Even though they say they don't, they actually do. And it's kind of the antithesis of access control with Reddit.
Sure.
So, that was like the number one surprise. Everyone is very closed in both regards, both, sort of like socially and actually technologically. And then the second thing is how slow people move. Like 6 months to get an update out is crazy to me. I don't know.
You say that, I go 6 months. Wow.
Yeah.
How fast?
Efficiency.
Yeah. No. So that has been probably one of the more crazier ones. And then the third is probably how litigious some companies are. I have luckily not been sued by anyone in this industry, and we'll hopefully keep it that way. But I have been emailed by legal teams at industry people, at industry players, and let's just say you won't find certain brands on our website anymore.
Wow. Okay.
What does that stem from? You mentioned like the immune response. Do you think the traditional security industry, based on, I guess your experience thus far, is scared of disruptors, is scared of change? Do you think that's the main concern?
I think probably not. That's my intuition, right? I'm going to assume goodwill on the part of everyone in the industry because that's sort of what I believe, right? My assumption is actually that they have a longstanding brand with a longstanding reputation that they really want to protect, and helping anyone do anything new could put that at risk.
Yep. Could dilute the brand or the
Exactly.
market share, et cetera. Yeah.
So when we talk about disruption, I think one of the most interesting things that a lot of brands in our business refrain from doing is talking about price. If you say price, everybody starts to cringe and they go, "Oh, don't say anything. Don't even give them MSRP because, right, there's the manufacturer and then there's the channel partner, but there's also a distributor and there may be some other value-added reseller. Before it gets to the end user, the price may not necessarily be the price anymore." So everybody's super price sensitive, and not price sensitive from like how much something is, just price sensitive from just don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But you're taking the opposite approach. And I think it's actually kind of interesting because when you go to your website, you can clearly see what the prices are. So my question here is, why take that approach in a traditionally conservative industry, and what's the message that you're trying to get out there in terms of pricing?
Yeah, good question. So I think I didn't know any other way. So it was like, you don't know what you don't know. In my previous business, we just published pricing, people signed up, and you gave them service. And I thought I could just do the same thing here for access control. It's a developer tool. And yeah, I ran into the same thing, like how you're publishing your pricing on your website. I've gotten that question a handful of times. The message we're trying to send is really just like, we're open for business, right? Like, whoever you are in the value chain, we're here to service you, right? So if you are an end user, that pricing is there, right? It's like if you are, Coca-Cola, like you could see what it will cost to work directly with us. Now, the one thing that's pretty interesting is like if you are a small, like this place, wherever we are right now, if you're a small company and you have like 50 users, our pricing isn't for you.
Right.
But we do have pricing that will allow those types of customers to come on. It's just not public yet because we're redesigning our website.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, where do you sit? Where do you see AccessGrid sitting in the value chain? Is it you guys direct to the end user? Is it you guys through a channel program? How do you foresee that working?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The answer is I have no idea. Right now, we are in a position where we sell sometimes to end users, but they're not our preferred customer. We prefer to sell to an integrator, an installer, or ideally, the best case scenario is to sell to a hardware manufacturer, right? So think, like a STID or a Farpoint Data, those types of people. And then they can enable with all their partners as much as they want or don't. So the sort of short answer is don't really know who we're selling to. We're selling to everyone at the moment.
Sure.
I think as time goes on, that's going to narrow, and the true sort of like reseller or partner customer is what we call them will arise.
Right.
At the moment, there's two horses I'm betting on. Hardware manufacturers, and I don't know what you would call them, but like companies like Badge Pass.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So, big HID
Hi, Lindsay.
reseller. Yeah. Yeah. Big HID. You want me to? All right. Big HID reseller, and they are really excited to like use a platform and get things going.
So I feel like there is a little bit of tension in what you just said with HID's model, because we classically are a solution enabler, or at least HID is a solution enabler. We don't bring a fully baked software platform to market, let's say, for access control. And we don't, while we could develop an access control system with Mercury and with signal readers and all that jazz, we don't do that in order to enable our partner ecosystem. So like the hardware play probably wouldn't work out very well with HID because we're not going to bring a solution like that to market. So how do you see the relationship evolving with a company like HID and the technology partner program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I think the truth of the matter is that in the world today, there are not a lot of homogeneous systems, right? There's not a lot of access control systems where it's like HID only or FarPoint only, or whatever. The larger systems are just glued together from everyone that from choices made generations before. And so sort of what our end goal is to be the layer that abstracts all of these pieces of hardware from the customer.
Sure.
Right. And so even though we sell to STID, FarPoint, whoever, there is very likely to be a sort of use case down the line where more badge passes come in. So like a Galaxy or
Sure.
whoever else, and they start to essentially multiply the network effects of what we've done.
Absolutely.
When I first met you, you mentioned there was like 3 pillars that you sort of, guiding lights. Do you want to share that with the audience? Because that was around price, accessibility. I think, it really struck a chord with me. Do you mind going back through them?
Yes. Yeah. So let's see. Price is definitely very important to us. There's a lot of movement in the world towards inflation. And in my opinion, technology is supposed to be deflationary. It's supposed to make things more cost effective. And so sort of principally as a company, we care a whole lot about making the product as cheap as we possibly can. So we are investing a lot into automation. I've shared some of those things with you that we're building that are like going to bring down our costs. So the pricing you see on the website is not going to be the pricing a year from now. It's going to be cheaper, guaranteed, without a doubt. There's no way that we're going to stay the price that we are. But we can't price lower until we have the innovation that is stable, that meets what we need there. The second is definitely accessibility, right? So open APIs have made the world a much better place for everyone. I actually forget what I told you the third one is.
I think it was, price, accessibility, and, it had to deliver a tangible change, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what it was, but the first two definitely are true to us. That's very, very true for us.
Now, are you like sort of going back to the traditional legacy access control space? Are you all in just on the mobile wallet? Is there any part of your platform that might incorporate cards? Or would you say that would be more on like a badge pass or on one of the value-added resellers?
Yeah. I think we are very much 100% in on mobile wallet. So today that's HID COS, that's Desfire, SmartTap.
Yep.
Tomorrow it could be a Liro. In the future there could be some other UWB technology that comes out. Probably HID will have something. As long as it's in wallet and supported, like providing that maximally easy experience for the end user that they're already familiar with, already trained for it, that's where we want to play. Gotcha.
Now you're touching on a nerve that I want to go down, and that's about the future. Can you walk us down, should everything go right, and I see no reason why it wouldn't, what your company looks like 5 or 10 years from now?
Yeah, so that is a very hard question to answer.
Sure. Especially given all the pace of change in the world today.
Yes, yeah. So that is it's everything outside of access control that makes that hard to answer.
Sure.
I'm going to put on my dystopian hat just for a second here. If things go extremely well, but the world changes in this particular direction, which is that robotics continues to push forward and eliminate the need for manual labor, then AccessGrid probably looks like an API layer for enabling access for robots rather than humans.
I gave a speech a few weeks ago, and this was the general hypothesis of the speech was mobile is a paradigm-shifting technology, but in an age of robotics, are we really going to put a lanyard around a robot's neck? No. It's going to be some sort of an API integration to provision a credential to that autonomous device.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you think about it right now, robots are essentially living in Plato's cave. You put them in a room and they're essentially stuck there.
Right.
If you have any sort of access control system, they're like, well, I don't know. In the future, if they advance, far enough, they're going to need to go from we're in the molding area of this to we are in the storage area and move freely and be tracked.
Right. And maybe this robot can't go into that area, and so how do we prevent that robot from going in? And ultimately, it's traditional access control. It's just what is the asset that we're tracking at that point?
Right. Yes. And then furthermore, sort of shifting away from humanoid robots and sort of like to general robotics. Right. I could see us, maybe you've heard of Coco or Robot.com. I could see us very easily enabling you tap to get your food out of the box.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk to AI agents? Like a lot of the audience here from the security space, some have varying levels of knowledge in this space, but we hear the term AI agents. Can you talk to that and maybe explain that in layman's terms?
Sure. Yeah. So if you've ever used an LLM like ChatGPT, you can ask it something like, hey, what does HID do? And you can even prompt it further with something like, give me a 10-page report on the HID business. An agent is just a more advanced version of the latter prompt, where the computer has more time to think and potentially capabilities that it didn't before. So right now, ChatGPT's LLM, when you ask it, like, do this with deep research, it literally can crawl the web. An agent is just that on steroids. So it can log in, it can send an API request, it can, modify an Excel file. And it's just moving from lower level tasks to higher level tasks, right? So, right now, most agents are like, find me every access control system, every access control company in the world, get me their CEO name, get me his email, and put it in this sheet. That is essentially something an agent would do.
And I see that going actually a step further, where you're starting to see agents being able to use software. So you might say, hey, do me a favor, log into whatever this access control system is and enter this user's data, like conversationally.
Yeah.
But the agent's going to go in, open up your access control software, make all the changes that it needs to make, and then kind of report back to you when it's done. But do you see that being at the API layer, or do you see it operating differently?
Yeah. So
could be one of these.
I'm going to give you guys I may regret this, but I'll still share. So I'll give you an example of what we're doing at AccessGrid. So there is an HID webpage somewhere that allows you to create an organization.
Right.
We wish there was an API to do that. We're going to have an agent that does that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see these agents replacing APIs in a future state where that default?
It depends on the organization, right? I don't anticipate HID not having an API for this for too long. But other companies that are less well-staffed, agents will, surpass APIs. Essentially their existing web page that humans use will have an agent or a bot on top of it that has an API in front of it that people will use.
Another question I had with the agents, do you see the ability to put, like in our world, an agent within a reader, then another agent at the controller level as an example? Do you see advancements like that happening?
Maybe eventually, but there are some real constraints that would prevent that from happening, right?
From a compute perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. Compute, storage, all that, right? So, if you want to put a model that can answer a question onto a reader, you're going to need a lot more storage.
Yep.
An insane amount more. And then the compute is, helpful because otherwise you're going to have to be waiting there for this thing to
spinning its wheels.
Yeah. So I'm curious, obviously you're building something new here. From for the security professionals that may be listening to this, many of whom grew up in sort of the traditional access control space, what's one piece of advice you would give to them from your perspective? And more from the angle of staying relevant in a changing time.
I mean, that's hard. The latter is hard, but I would say sort of generally, cooperation is the core of capitalism. And if you're in the access control space, you're probably American, and capitalism is still an American thing. Therefore, cooperate. Everybody, play nice together. It'll raise the tide for all ships.
Yeah. I've heard a really interesting analogy with regard to this, and it had to do with like the NFL, where each team was really competing against each other, and there were small market teams that could no longer compete with the Giants and the Jets and like some of these teams, and they all got together and they said, what if we just cooperate and kind of share amongst each other the resources? We could make this thing so much bigger than it is. And now obviously look at the ratings on Sundays in the United States, and every team is able to be competitive, and that's what makes football so great, is you never know which team's gonna come out on top, unless it's the New York Giants or the New York Jets, and then we know what that outcome's gonna be always for some reason. So I want to ask you a few lightning round style questions. I'm just going to throw a concept out at you and give us sort of your take. And where I want to start is, what's the most outdated idea our industry has that needs to go away?
On-premise, air-gapped systems.
Oh, really? Interesting. So that, for a long time, has been like the bastion of high security. Is like, we got to air gap it, private network, blah, blah, blah. You see it in the opposite.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What's a technology outside of security that inspires your work?
I really, really love blockchain. Sort of biased here. My last company was a blockchain infrastructure company, but the pureness of the market is insanely cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like the idea that I could write a piece of software and publish it so that anyone, anywhere, at any time, without my permission, can run the code. It's insanely cool.
So it's interesting that you mentioned blockchain, because there's a big discussion right now in the security world about adoption of blockchain. Obviously, we're always 10 years behind the curve, seemingly, right? But the discussion around blockchain is around identity. And the way that we do identity today is, right, you get a card number. That card number is associated with you as a person. There's a group of individuals that think that maybe identity should shift to the individual, and that the access control company should adopt some sort of a ledger on the blockchain in order to validate somebody's identity. Do you see that as a reality, as something that could actually be done?
Not with a public blockchain.
Okay.
The amount of not easily with a public blockchain. By default, blockchains are public, right? So the big secret is like, if I send you some money, you know how much money I have.
Right.
And so, and furthermore, I can spin up as many identities as I want. Like literally, it's just another private key.
Right.
Increase by 1, increase by 10. So the likelihood of that being possible with a public blockchain, low, not 100% not possible, but low.
It would take someone developing their own blockchain, like a private chain?
Yeah, more like a consortium.
I see.
Yeah, so every company in the world, or something like that. But then once it grows to a large enough consortium, you're essentially a public blockchain.
Right. Yeah, there's some inherent sort of resistance.
So maybe a access control or security industry, consortium could maybe get that done. But yeah.
Easier said than done. What's an emerging trend right now that's underrated?
Well, I think we kind of touched on it. Robotics, right? Like how many people are actually going to go to an office 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I think it's an open question, mostly because there is a decent chance it gets regulated and prevented from happening in the sort of free market that it would normally, increase adoption in. But it could also go the other way.
Sure.
Right. And if it goes the other way, people are going to have to find something else to do with their time, but access control is going to change.
Yeah. It's interesting too. It's like there's this dichotomy of utopian versus dystopian in the robotic space, because if you say, all right, well, in pure free market capitalism, everybody just goes towards robotics, full steam ahead, and it displaces all of these jobs. Well, the dystopian view is who's going to work. The utopian view is, well, without any work, I'm free to follow my pursuits. But then that comes across with how do people make money? How do you maintain a capitalist society? It's all those challenging issues.
So my hottest take on this particular thing, we're sort of exiting access control land, but Dara from Uber, if you're listening, every single Uber driver should be having a part of their wages optionally put into a fund where you just invest in robotics companies.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And what would be the desired outcome there?
Well, the desired outcome is if you're an Uber driver, deliverer, whatever you want to call it, and you're putting enough of your money into this fund, which gets access to private deals because these deals are not public, when they actually do displace you, who's the owner of said company?
You're
protected.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of like an insurance policy.
Yep.
Against being displaced. What's something that's overrated right now?
AI.
I knew you would be the one to say it. Everybody else that's been through here said AI is undervalued, underrated. I had a feeling you might say overrated. Why?
Yeah, I mean, so having been through the crypto cycle, having seen the housing cycle in 2007, the dot-com boom, it just feels natural that we've hit the top and we're coming down. That's not to say that AI has no value.
Right.
It's to say that it is currently overvalued.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
That's a good point of disparity, right?
Yes.
Like everyone thinks the future state is in 2 or 3 years that autonomy and all these things will happen, but what you're saying is no, that's a long way away.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw markdowns of so this is a little bit of a bear case for me. Like, you said, everyone said it, it's undervalued. But so I'm being a bear. That's the full disclosure. But and I say that with AI as what, 3%, 5% of GDP this year, something like that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw markdowns essentially across the board on all AI companies within the next 6 to 12 months. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised because there are things that don't seem to match up, right? So there's like
the valuations are crazy.
Well, so that's part of it. But what I see is like you see these deals like, oh, we're going to pay Oracle or NVIDIA or whatever, X trillion dollars over the next 3 years. And you have how much? Let's just say it's a 50 billion. Are you trying to tell me that you are going to essentially 20x your revenue in 3 years to cover your, $2 trillion expenditure? I don't know that it's possible.
Yeah. Well,
do you think it's fear of missing out in that space? Like from an investor's perspective, like if I don't do something, I'm going to miss out.
100%. That's what drives all the bubbles, right? And so, people are going to pile in. And then some early smart money is going to get out, and it might, mark down as a consequence, and everything will be fine in the long run, but it's going to be painful in the short term.
It's going to be very interesting.
So this could be like tulip mania, to use a Wall Street term, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like same thing happened in blockchain in 2022, in 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
So last set of questions for you. What is one word your customers use your customers would use to describe your company today? And what do you think that word's going to be 5 or 10 years from now?
One word. That's hard because I know what my customers say about me.
Well, it doesn't have to be just one word. What are they saying about you now, and what are they going to say about you in 5 years?
Tech is awesome.
Yep.
I hope in 5 years, tech is even more awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Auston, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Where can people learn more about your business?
AccessGrid.com.
AccessGrid.com. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes.
All right, well, you can connect with him on LinkedIn as well, or follow him on LinkedIn. I don't know if he'll connect with you, but he'll certainly enjoy a follow, I'm sure.
I'll accept anyone in the access control industry.
There you go. Nice. Thanks so much, Auston.
Yeah.
Yep, and we'll see you on the next one.
Today's episode is brought to you by HID Mobile Access, the most secure and convenient way to open doors with the device you already use every day. With HID, organizations get flexible, future-ready solutions that easily integrate into workplace and tenant experience apps, creating a seamless journey from street to suite. If you're ready to modernize your access control experience, try it for yourself. Sign up for a free trial at hidglobal.com/solutions and click on Mobile Access.